I'm going to show you a quick little video on how to use Google Drawings. So first you can go to your Google Drive and see if you can find a Google Drawing if you've already started one there. If you haven't, if you go to New, click on New, and you want to click down on More, and then you want to go to Google Drawings. So your Google Drawing is going to open up. Just like Google Docs, it's very important that you name your Google Drawing. I'm going to name this one Practice. Hit enter. Okay. Another thing I want to show you quick is if you go under File to Page Setup, and the standard dimensions is 4 inches by 3 inches. That's a little bit small for us, so I want to go to a custom. I'm going to make this 11 by 8, and then we can make sure this will fit on a standard paper that we print out from a printer. So some things to go over quick is if we look under the arrow there, that is your selection tool. You may need to click on that from time to time. Right here we got line tools, and we're going to start with that. Our first line tool is just a straight line. Okay, you can click and then you can adjust that. You can adjust how long you want and the angle you want. So the little arrow next to it allows us to choose different lines. This one gives us a line with an arrow attached to it. We got elbow connectors. I don't really use this one much, but you can adjust and move those around a little bit. So and you can play around with that. All these things you can play around with. This is the curved connector. Again, I'm not real familiar with this one, but again, you can play around with it and make some different things. Have fun. The one I really like is the curve tool here, the curve line. This one, if you click once, you get this little straight line, but if you keep clicking, you get these curves. So you can, the nice thing about this one is you can use these curves, and if you get all the way back to where you began and you click, then it makes it a shape. So this is really handy for making organic shapes. So the polyline tool is very similar, is you can use it to make different shapes as well. If both the curve tool and the polyline tool, if you want to just make lines with them and not make it a shape, you can finish by double clicking. So I'm going to double click, and then that makes it just a line. Right now it's got the color fill option, and I'm going to show you how to turn that off here in a second. The last one is the scribble tool, so allows you to make scribble lines. Why didn't that one show up? There we go, that one showed up. So let's quick talk about the color fill tool. So I'm going to click on one of these shapes I just made, and we can go in here and we can pick a color and fill it. Our shapes automatically have a border that shows up, and we can change the color of that as well. So I could change that to blue. It's a little bit hard to see in the size we're working with now, but I can change the weight of that, so I can make it like a much heavier weight, and that's easier to see. A lot of the times I don't like my borders to show up, so what I do, instead of changing it to a color, I can make it transparent. Another thing we can do is we can make custom colors. So for instance here, I can customize a color, and I can click on that little box, and then let's say I want something in this kind of area, and I can pick it lighter or darker, and then I can bring this, I'm going to add a little tint to this, not tint, a shade. And I could even make it transparent a little bit. So this can be fun. We can have a lot of fun with transparency later. So I'll show you that more in a minute. So there we go. So um, I can take this shape and put it over top. You can see what the effect of that transparency can have over another shape. So I'm going to click on this one here because I don't want the color fill to show, so I'm just going to make that transparent. So a quick little thing that you may not know, maybe I want to reuse a shape that I've already created. So there's a little shortcut. If I hit Control C, and then that copies it, and then Control V paste it. So I just pasted that one. Okay, so I got that going on. Under this, I can, or with this, I can go into Arrange, and if I go to Rotate, it allows me to rotate it. Maybe I want to rotate it like 90 degrees. Okay, but I can also go to Rotate, and I can flip it. So I can flip it horizontally or vertically. Maybe let's flip this one vertically. So right there. And I can rotate it with that little thing too. If you click on a shape, it's got that little circle at the top there. That allows me to rotate it if I want to. So I could even put this like right next to that, and I got an exact copy that has been reflected. So I want to play around with the color field one more time with this. I'm going to go back to the custom there, and I'm going to take the border off, and you can see what happens if I have two of the same transparency colors on top of each other, and that can be a lot of fun. So the next tool I'm going to show you is the shape tool. So here you got a number of different kinds of shapes you can use. You got these things here that gives you like text bubbles. You got some math symbols, some different arrows that can be used, and different basic shapes. So I really like just the basic rectangles, circles, and triangles. So I want to click on a rectangle, and once you got that clicked, if you take and click and drag, it allows you to make a rectangle. So again, you can fill that with a color. You could take the border off or leave it on. It's up to you. I like them off. So, but I can also take and click on that same rectangle tool, and I can make this into a square if I hit Shift. If I hit Shift and continue to hold it down while I'm moving this, it'll keep it a perfect square. The same thing works with circles, so, and triangles. So if I click on the circle, I can get an oval, okay? Or if I hit Shift, I can make it a perfect circle, like so. Now, if you noticed, the background does not fill with a color, and there's no choice to change the color. So what I'm going to do is, I want my background a certain color. I can go and just make a giant rectangle, fit the page like so, and I'm going to change this color. Let's just do a yellow, okay? But wait a minute, I can't see all that work that I just did. So what can I do? Well, I can send that back. And if you think a little bit about what you need to click, if you go to Arrange and you click Arrange and click Order, you can either send it backwards, which it will send it backwards one layer. So the last thing you did is the layer behind it, and it'll send it back one layer to that. So, but I want this one to go all the way back. So instead of going backwards again and again and again, I can just send back, and that sends it all the way back. The same thing works if I want something to be in front. I can click on it, go to Arrange, and hit Order, and I can send it, bring it to the front. So it's in front of that now. A neat little trick that I figured out on my own is I can't just use a shape and cut out of another shape. Okay, it won't let me do this. But what I can do is if I take a shape and put it in front of another one and give it the same color as my background color and fill that, then it makes it look like it has been cut out. So you can play around with that a little bit, and it can allow you to do some fun things. There, I moved that up because this circle is actually in front of that rectangle too. I am going to show you how to work with text. So right here, this is the text box tool. If I click on that, I can draw a text box. And now I can type a word. If I highlight that word, okay, I can then go in and I can change the font style. I like impact. I'm going to check that one. Seems a little bit small for what we're working on, so I can change the size here. You can go up to, I believe, 400. I'm going to go up to 100 on this. I'm going to type that in, hit return or enter. And this font doesn't allow me to bold it because it's kind of already bolded, but I can make it italic so it goes at the angle. I can also, if I go where this A and this underline, that's the text color. So I could change the text color. I'm going to change this to blue. And you can also do a highlighting color too. Most of the time I don't like to do that. So I'm going to switch that to transparent. So if I click off of it, there you go. And I can move this around. If I hang on to the side of it, I can move it around. I can rotate it a little bit. There's a couple other neat things you can do with text. One is if you come up to insert, and instead of inserting a text box, you insert word art. So click on word art, and you type a word, and it creates the word. Well, you can also take and you can click a font style with that. Okay. The neat thing about using word art is it makes your text an actual shape. So I can fill the color of that shape now under the color fill. And let's go with a red. And it's also got a border, so this can be fun. I can color my border. Let's do this bright green. And you know what? You can't see it because it's kind of thin, so let's thicken it up a little bit. There you go. It makes it look like it's kind of glowing. I'm going to put it under this guy here. And it says hello there. If we come up to format options and you click format options, there's a couple of things here. You can change the size and you can position it and that sort of thing. That's kind of self-explanatory. But drop shadow is a really neat effect. If you click that and then this little arrow gives us all the options under drop shadow. Well, we can control the transparency of it. Oh, I don't want it too transparent. I can control the distance of it. Okay, like so. It gives it a neat little almost 3D sort of effect. I can change the angle of it. Maybe I want it going that way instead. I can make it so it blurs a little bit. In this case, I don't really want it too blurry. I want it really noticeable. Another cool function with this is if I'm going to click on hello, and I'm going to move that up a little bit. We can click this one, and this is a reflection. So you click that one, and it reflects the word. And again, with that arrow, it gives us some options there. This one's really far away, so I'm going to bring it up closer. Where are you at? Oh, that's the size. This is the distance I want, the distance. So some of this you got to play around with. Size decides on if it's going to be a full reflection, or you can make it so it's like half reflection. Let's go full. Distance, we got to get that thing closer to the word. Okay. And you can play around with transparency too. It's kind of hard to see with the location of it right there. You can move it up. See what's going on now. So maybe we'll put it up in that area. So if you make a shape and you're not too happy with it, so I made this shape using the curve tool, the curve line tool. I'm not too happy. I didn't like how these curves ended up. If I double click the shape, these little circles will show up, and I can take and like readjust these circles. So maybe I wanted it to go that way. Maybe I wanted this one to go this way more. Okay, so you can take and you can fine tune your homemade shape. The one thing I don't like is I can't combine straight lines with curved lines. It doesn't allow me to do that. So there's some things that Google Drawings just does not allow you to do yet. I'm sure at some point it's going to make some changes and it's just going to get better from here on out. Google Drawings is not a photo editing uh, software or app. So one thing you can do is you can insert images, okay? I'm not going to show you guys how to do that. It's kind of self-explanatory, but that's something you can do. You can insert images. You could use this Google Drawings for other classes that you're doing. You can make some cool art for like a cover of a paper that you're doing. You could use it for something for science. Oh, I forgot to show you guys this. So I'm going to click on this line here and let's make it thicker so we can see it a little better, and let's give it a little color too instead of just black. Let's go just blue. And you've got these dashes and dots, so I could make it a dashed line, and if I click off of it, you can notice it. The arrow is showing up a little bit there, so let's bring that up so we can see it. If I click on a shape, I can go to my color fill and I can do a gradient. They have some set gradients already established. They've got something like that, or there's also like radial gradients, so it's kind of a circular gradient. I can also do a custom gradient, and I can play around with this. I can add different colors to my gradient. Maybe I want that blue. Maybe I want this one to be in the red. Probably don't want radial, I'll do linear. And I can change the angle that my gradient is happening. I can add more colors. I can move this around. Let's change this one to a yellow. And click OK. And there's my gradient. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you to make better artwork, and you can use it for other classes, not just art. So this is Mr. Lee, and have fun. Thank you.